Hey, welcome to our Better Results Faster workshop, and thanks for attending. My name is Dr. Phil Hallett, and I'm a wellness expert. I'm considered a health and wellness expert. I've been doing this for about 30 years now, and so thank you for attending. I know some of you are here, most of you are here because somebody made you. Did I make you come? Is anybody here because someone dragged you in today? All right, well, nevertheless, I think you're going to be glad you did come in regardless. You're going to learn some exciting things, and I'm excited about sharing some things with you. And I want to start off with a kind of a thought-provoking question. If we talk about health, would you say it's normal to be healthy, or is it normal to be unhealthy? Show of hands, who thinks it's normal to be healthy? Is that normal? Unhealthy. You got it. Yeah. So ambivalent. Not quite sure. You feel when you came in here to the office. I imagine I could summarize the way you felt by the word stuck. You probably felt stuck. Whatever caused you to finally pick up the phone or get online and schedule an appointment, you probably wrestled with a problem that wasn't going away, right? I know what it's like to feel stuck. I had asthma as a kid. This was before asthma was even well known, and nothing helped. I'd miss 4 and 5 days of school at a time, and I had a medical doctor tell me, I asked him as a child, I'm like, what's causing this problem? Like, is it something I can change? And he literally said, I have no idea. And so I remember that feeling, so I can relate with you. It's actually, let me answer the question, it's normal to be healthy. Now, I'm not saying it's common to be healthy. You get in some circles in like church, all they're talking about is the health maladies, health problems. So what's common is not necessarily normal. Does that make sense? So I want to help you move forward onto a path to reach your long-term goals. One long-term goal I heard recently was, I want to be able to have normal activities without pain. So to achieve those goals, there's an understanding that you're going to have that you don't have right now. All right? And a show of hands, whenever I ask some of these questions, would help me a lot, because it just makes, I got to make sure you're engaged, okay? So try to stay here with me. I didn't set my timer. Would somebody mind setting a timer for about 33 minutes? All right, cool. So let's start with some questions. So if we just talk about the health in our country right now, as far as the U.S., how much do you think we spend on healthcare? A lot, right?
Way too much.
It's about $4.5 trillion in 2022, so I can imagine it's way more now. That's about $14,000 a year per person. And there's a lot of people that don't spend that much, so you can imagine how much is being spent on some unhealthy people. Which country takes the most drugs?
We do.
The United States, exactly, by far. And then how do you think the United States stacks up with other countries in terms of overall health?
About average.
It's not even average, it's actually in the bottom. We sit on the bottom consistently. So back to we spend more than twice on healthcare per person as the next advanced industrialized country. More than twice. We take the most drugs by far. And when it comes to overall health, we sit at the bottom. So something's wrong with this picture, would you agree? Something's
Yes.
crazy about the way we handle health in our country. And what about your health? So when you came into this office and you told us your chief, what we call chief complaint, the thing that said, by golly, I cannot wait another day, I got to schedule an appointment. What if that problem did not get addressed by us and you take that problem down the road another year, 5 years, 10 more years with that same problem? Think about where you might be and how limited you might be in your life. So something's clearly wrong with the way we handle health, the way we look at health in our country, and I want to give you a definition that will be more helpful than the word health, and that is function. So get out your thesaurus and look up synonyms for the word health, and you're going to see a couple words that we use around here a lot. One of them is function. If all the working parts of your body that we can't even quantify, there's so many, are working properly, that means you're going to be healthy. So to be in health, things have to be functioning right. Does that make sense? Health equals function. We've been brainwashed, taught through subliminal messages by watching TV that you're either sick or you're healthy, right? So like if someone was to say I'm healthy, and you say, well, why are you healthy? Because I'm not sick, right? And let's think about that for a minute, okay? Because we just gave a definition of function. If I'm how would you know if you're functioning properly? Sit on that for a minute. You're not either healthy or you're sick. We're actually on a continuum. If I take this all the way, stretch all the way to premature death, and then take it all the way to the right to ideal health, the best health you could possibly achieve on this planet. This is actually where you're on here somewhere right now. If we don't take care of ourselves, let's say you're right here, and weeks and months go by, you take on bad habits, you're going to start getting signs and symptoms. You aren't going to feel right. Your energy's not going to be right. You might start getting sick more than you normally did. You might find yourself having a health crisis. You might even find yourself in a doctor's office with such a crisis that they give you a diagnosis of a disease. Then disease on top of more disease, yeah, there's people that check out early, aren't they? Have you ever known somebody that gets diagnosed with an illness and you say, I don't know what happened with Joe. He was the picture of health. Thanks, I appreciate that. How about if we pick up today and start moving in this direction? I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is reality right here. We're not sick or we're healthy. We're actually, you could be manifesting no symptoms right now and be on the road to poor health and early disease, right? So what about somebody that's like we talked about in that example, somebody that's not taking care of themselves, they've been staying up late, burning the candle at both ends, they're stressed, they're sitting on the couch eating a bag of potato chips every night, drinking pop, they're not drinking enough water, they're not moving. But they aren't sick. They don't have a cold, they don't have a flu. They fall in this category. They're just not sick right now, right? But they ain't healthy. And that's called immunocompromised. My immune system's not functioning like it's supposed to. Is that important if someone's diagnosed with cancer to have their immune system working properly? Has anybody heard of an illness called an autoimmune disease? And what's going on with an autoimmune disease? Anybody can you tell me what you know about what is an autoimmune disease? What's going on? Nobody?
Immune system's attacking us.
Yeah, exactly. Your own immune system's actually attacking and breaking down tissues in your own body. You got warfare going on. Is that function? That's not normal function, is it? That's not health. You don't get sick, you do sick. Let's think about that for a second. I was around a bunch of kids, snotty kids in the nursery on Sunday, and now I've got a cold. Or how was your overall immune system when you got around those kids? Did 100% of the people that got around those kids get sick? No. Have we ever seen families with one person gets sick? One person in the family seems to get sick more often than the other kids in the family, right? What's the explanation for that? They're all drinking the same water, eating the same food, living in the same environment. So it has to be something more than just, I got around these germs. What germs have you heard of? You've heard of viruses, right? You've heard of bacteria. That's what we call germs. Cold is a what? Is it a bacteria or a virus? COVID-19, is that a bacteria or a virus? It's a virus. Yeah, thank you. Streptococcus, if I get strep throat, that's a bacteria. That's a streptococcal bacteria. And so if I were to ask the textbook definition of what's strep throat, It's someone that has streptococcal, they've been exposed to streptococcus, and I'm holding a seed in my hand right now called an acorn. I picked a few of these the other day. Think of a virus or a bacteria like a seed, all right? So in order to have an oak tree, we have to have a seed first, right? So what causes strep throat? A bacteria. What causes cold? Virus, right? Okay, so oak tree. Did I just plant some oak trees there?
No.
Oh, really? What? So I'm gonna expect oak trees to come up there in a couple months?
Well, they can, yeah.
Really? Really? I don't see any soil on that floor I just threw it on. Yeah.
You infected the floor with oak seeditis.
So the lack of understanding about health is that our body mounts a resistance, and our body has an immune system. And let's go back to the planting the oak tree. It would need to be planted in good soil and under the right conditions, enough moisture, enough sunlight in the right soil at the right time of the year. We could germinate a sapling of an oak tree, right? A virus or bacteria in your body under the right conditions. You're immunocompromised, your immune system's not up to snuff, and that virus or bacteria can germinate, right? What about in a body that is, someone's been taking care of themselves and they're moving forward this way on the health spectrum? It's like throwing those seeds on the floor. They aren't gonna get sick because their body has an adequate resistance. Does that help?
Mm-hmm.
And that will explain why some of these chiropractic families that come in this office do not get sick as often. And we even hear from medical doctors, they say, you know what? The kids I see that they go to chiropractic doctors with their family do not get sick as often. So why is that? Why does the body know how to deal with infection and get over illness and also to heal? It's because your body has an inborn intelligence. Your body is smart. And we take that for granted. So you have a resource that will allow you to heal because you have what's known as an inborn intelligence. Did you know your body will always attempt to adapt to stress in the correct way? It does not make mistakes in its adaptation. If I were to plant you in Antarctica on an iceberg with no clothes, your body would go through adaptation. And the first stages would be to cut off circulation to your limbs. You'd lose your limbs first. And why do you think that is? Why would I lose my arm before I lose my heart?
You have to have your heart to live.
Yeah, the body starts prioritizing things. It says, at the expense of Phil's arm, I'm going to try to keep his core alive. If you have been overwhelmed by a virus or bacteria, what will your body do? It will do something smart. It'll mount a defense known as fever, where it draws blood cells, it draws chemicals, it draws messengers throughout the body to give resources to mount a defense against that bacteria or virus so it can't spread. It's going to contain and eliminate it. If you move to Colorado and you'll say you're up to 8,000 feet all the time, you just were in Indiana, no sea level, to 8,000 feet. What's the deal with higher altitude? There's not as much oxygen, right? So what is your body going to do in adaptation to that? Have you ever gone to Colorado and you're like, I don't have a lung. Yeah, what happened to my lung? I have one lung working right now. Your body's going to eventually build more red blood cells. And you take somebody that lives in Colorado at altitude versus somebody here, and I bet you they have more hemoglobin, I bet you they have more red blood cells. Is that smart? That's smart working in your body. And then finally, cholesterol. Cholesterol is a smart adaptation in your body to what? Inflammation. Has everybody heard of inflammation? Everything we're doing is trying to reduce inflammation, right? Anti-inflammatory diet. Take anti-inflammatories. Your body produces cholesterol to quell the effects of inflammation in your arteries. And it has many other functions, and your body's trying to keep you alive. So if let's say you have inflammation and you don't change your habits, your body's going to keep doing the smart thing at the expense of your future health. But it's trying to keep you alive, keep you surviving. And the thing that coordinates all of this is the master system in your body, okay? And think of a system. Can somebody just throw out one of the body systems, okay? When you study in elementary school, the organs and stuff, different
Digestive
systems.
system.
I heard what?
Digestive.
Digestive, musculoskeletal system, respiratory system, reproductive, nervous system. Just so happens it's the very first system that shows up when a developing embryo is happening. On like the 17th day, we'll see what we call a neural streak, neural crest cells. It's the beginning of the brain and spinal cord, your central nerve system. And every single cell from then on, and every organ system that we just named, is directly under the control of this primary system. If someone's heart stops, and that's like death, right? But sometimes they can get the heart restarted, correct? But what happens when somebody is brain dead? That's kind of when they call the family in, right? And they say, you know, technically they're not living on their own anymore. And that's when they have to make these hard and fast decisions, right? So the very thing that keeps you alive is also the very thing that helps you heal. So we're going to talk about an impediment to healing that is directly involving your nerve system that you've never heard before. Some of you have never heard this before. SMART, we talked about this inborn intelligence, runs through our nerve system, on board all the time, always making the right decisions. And so, you know, you have this spinal column. You have about 24 vertebrae, each of us have, and this is literally the suit of armor that encases our brain and spinal cord. Gives you an idea of the importance and the delicacy of this system, so much so that it's protected in armor or protected in bone. And what happens with two different types of trauma, one we call big trauma or macro trauma. That would be the slip and fall on the sidewalk, falling out of a tree and landing on my tummy like I did when I was a kid, or wiping out on a dirt bike and hitting my head on the icy road when I was a teenager. That can misalign vertebrae in the spine and impinge and interfere with that brain to body connection, the very thing that's keeping you alive, thing that's allowing you to heal. That's big trauma, that's macro trauma. But micro trauma is just as much at play, and very few people recognize this connection. We're in a culture now where we get to sit at our jobs a lot. I have a lot of patients that they don't work, they don't pick up, move, they don't bend, twist, they sit at a desk at a computer, and that's called micro trauma. All right. Would you say our bodies are designed for movement? Would you say yes or yes? Yeah, our bodies are designed for movement. And we don't move anymore. So that will fall into a category that we call breaking bad habits. So yeah, let's move on. When you have a subluxation, I love this metaphor. It'd be like a tripped circuit breaker. And have you ever had power go off in one area of your house? Thanksgiving Day, you overload the oven, you got the toaster going and the blender, and all of a sudden everything shuts off. So the first thing you do is you go and, oh, there it is right there. That's a lot like what we do as chiropractors. When we check your spine, we're looking for areas of subluxation, lack of nerve transmission, and it's like a tripped circuit breaker. So we've got to power you back up. When we make an adjustment, we're powering back up the system. So if I were to have this subluxation that I just described from a fall, what could that possibly cause in my body? If you have a subluxation, is that allowing your body to continue working right all the time? No. A big word for that is dysfunction. I just used the word function a minute ago as health. Health is function. Well, subluxation causes dysfunction that leads to a state of dis-ease in your body. So that word is just from the two roots, dis and ease. If you have a disease, your body is not at ease. right? We could name it with a zillion different names, but your body ain't working right. I mean, that's the bottom line. So we're going to a main primary driver in your body called the nerve system, and removing these tripped circuit breakers or suffocated nerves to allow your body to start functioning properly again, restore function. So dysfunction is what happens, but it can manifest in many different ways. What we call body signals, okay? Symptoms, right? Symptoms are, I don't feel good. It's everything from my shoulder I strained the other day, it's aching, to I'm not breathing well, I have a migraine headache, I don't sleep well, I get sick too often, I have a runny nose, I'm coughing. I like to use the term body signals. You know, our body's giving us messages like a car. You know, if it's not working right, it's going to give a light on the dashboard. When you came in, think of your body signals are just what you are aware of, right? Just like an iceberg, that's all the Titanic people were aware of. But what took the boat down was this. When you come in and we outlay a care plan for you, and you think, my God, I got out of pain in 2 visits the last time I had this crisis. Might be because we're addressing the entire dysfunction in your body that you may have been carrying around for years. See, we do corrective care in this office. We're actually trying to improve the state of your body in whatever state you brought it in, so you're better as you age. So symptoms, body signals are what you can see. Dysfunction is the real problem, and that's what we're actually trying to improve in your body. What causes subluxation? We talked about macro trauma, big things, and then micro trauma, bad habits, repetitive motions. So that could be everything from, you know, I work in a factory and I'm always going this way all day, to I'm a golfer, I'm always going this way, or anything, right? Those things throw us out of balance, and lack of balance can cause subluxations in the spine. Lack of movement can cause subluxation. Sleeping on a bad pillow, having to put your body in an awkward position for a long period of time. Those all can be habits that we can change. So, all right. Anybody think of any other bad habits? So, like
Sitting on your phone for
yeah,
hours, looking down.
it could be anything I don't do enough of, like I don't move enough, to I do too much of, right? I eat too much sugar, or I drink too much pop when I could replace it with water or something healthier. So that's really something you need to work on to work along with the process. So let's go on. Like what we call text neck or tech neck. Imagine everybody the time they get a phone is about 8 years old now when kids get phones. And they're trying to, we want to maintain a neck like this with a forward arch in it, where the energy can get through, but we're undermining that by staring at our phones. And so we got a real pandemic on our hands going forward because of technology. That's a bad habit. How would you know if you had a subluxation? How would I know if I have a subluxation? Let's say I got adjusted last week. How long can I hold that adjustment? Any guesses? Well, certainly you could have symptoms, right? If I have back pain, I mean, yeah, it's possible you have a subluxation. But you don't really know unless you get checked by a chiropractor. So even myself, I don't always know. And if enough days have gone by, I'm pretty sure I have a subluxation, so I get checked. And that's with or without body signals, with or without feeling bad, okay? And what should you do if you have a subluxation?
Chiropractor.
Go to chiropractor, get an adjustment, right? So, do you know any other health profession that does adjustments or locates, analyzes, and corrects subluxation. Do you know any other? Is there anybody else that does that? So that was what was exciting to me when I contemplated a career in chiropractic. I was like, yeah, brain nerve system, yeah, spine, yeah, gets out of alignment, subluxation, and yeah, it causes dysfunction, and yeah, it should be adjusted. I'm like, doesn't medicine already do this? And like, no, they don't. They don't do that at all. If you went to a medical doctor, I'll talk about that in a minute, how much you might spend in another office besides this office. I talked about breaking bad habits. When you come in and get your adjustments, you're going to be put on a corrective plan because we're trying to reach a goal of correction, improvement, as much as limitations of matter allow us. And so adjustments have to be on a rhythmic schedule. You notice you're coming in more often at first, and then as you're getting better, your schedule gets less frequent. And the reason why it's less frequent is because you're holding your adjustments longer. Some of you weren't holding your adjustment for a day when you first came in. Maybe you're holding your adjustment 2 to 3 days, and then we set your schedule accordingly. This is like a 3-legged stool. You can't do without one leg of a 3-legged stool. It'll fall down. If we have all 3 legs, you're going to get results the quickest. And the only other leg of the stool, I've talked about adjustments in rhythm. I've talked about breaking bad habits. Corrective exercises is the last part of that leg. That would be you strengthening the areas of your spine where you've had a subluxation so you can start to hold your alignment better. Does that make sense? So if you've had a head stuck forward like this for eons, as we start to adjust your spine, we're going to want to encourage proper poses, stretches, exercises that will help your body to get more resilient, start to hold those adjustments. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to show you these poses today. I'll show you at some other time when my shoulder's working. These are literally 4 different poses you can hold for about 20 seconds at a time. Do it twice a day, and you'll literally start feeling like joints clicking, popping in your body because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm putting things back where they're supposed to be. So we'll talk more about poses as we move along. So I just want to talk about a couple specific cases. When we talk about corrective care, this is an example. So at one point, the first consultation visit, we'll take x-rays, we'll do a proper examination. And in Joe's case, a retired mid-70s gentleman who's been doing accounting for 50 years. He does not have a good neck. Normally we should have a forward arch in the neck. We should have disc spaces. We have no disc spaces below C2. His head's stuck forward about 3.5 inches from where it should be. And that is a drain. That is a stressor on the body. That's brain not being able to get its energy through the body. And this gentleman had neuropathy, pain in both legs. And he said his long-term goal was to be able to do normal activities without pain. After a year of attention and care, we retook this x-ray and noticed how much better his posture is. Well, he came in on a Monday, told me he had been at the convention center, a huge place, at a model train show, walking around that entire place. He said, you know what? I was expecting to be in a lot of pain the next day. He said, I did fine. He was amazed. So he's reaching his goals, and that's an example of somebody we've helped. Eli is a 9-year-old boy, middle child, 3 boys, and he's very rough housing with his brothers. They were fighting or wrestling, and he had hurt his back, and his upper back, he had pain about right in here. We took an x-ray. You can see how alignment was way off there. Well, he also has asthma. And as he was getting care, getting adjustments, getting corrections, we retook this progress x-ray, and you can see he's standing up straighter, isn't he? His alignment's improving at this point, and he's continuing to grow. And his mom told me, you know what, and Natasha's her name, she said, you know what, he's breathing better, he doesn't have allergies like he did, his back's feeling better, and he's still roughhouses like crazy. So something's changed, yeah. So that's really the things that get us excited here as staff doctors, seeing these types of results. And then this really brings it close to home. This is my 3 boys, my wife Janola, and our dog Rocky. That unfortunately that was his last day. We had to say goodbye to him that day. He's really in failing health, and it was a sad day. But the thing I think about when I think about my family is my family's all benefited from chiropractic care. My boys have been under chiropractic care since they were babies, and we've enjoyed a better quality of life, and not being in fear, not living in fear that the next streptococcus, the next COVID-19, the next virus, cold virus, or getting around sick kids, because our kids generally would not get sick, or if they got sick, they'd run a fever and get over it. And so that reminds me of our mission here, which is to create healthier families. And you may be sitting here thinking, my God, I know somebody in my family that could benefit from this. So you should bring them in and get them evaluated. So that's the way to know if they have a subluxation. Let's just say you went to a clinic or a hospital and you had a consultation with the doctor, you had an exam, you had x-rays, you had therapy, you had a report of your findings, and then you had a proper adjustment or treatment. How much do you think that would cost you in a hospital? I mean, $1,000 or more? At least $1,000, right?
Yes,
I mean, you ain't gonna get all that for less than $1,000. Probably $2,000. I mean, you can't even trip the threshold of an emergency room without $2,000 at least. Do you know in this office, all those services I just mentioned, about $200, not $2,000, about $200. If you're sitting here tonight and you thought of somebody that could benefit from care, it's only $47, and it's only available as long as you have to schedule it, and they have to come in within the next 2 weeks. So there is a time limit, but that is available. So I want to see you after the class if you have thought of somebody that needs this opportunity. And it's to find out if they have subluxations. If they do, we'll make that known. Thank you very much. I've covered a lot of stuff, and I think there might be some questions, and so I want to take a couple minutes. Is there some things that I talked about as far as health, the nerve system, subluxations, the adjustments that you may have?